Welcome to the Raven Space on YouTube and podcast. This is our first podcast, the Raven Space podcast. Thank you guys so much for joining me. And we have a new member to the Raven Space team. This is Steven. Steven, introduce yourself if you want.
Yeah, so you just said my name's Steven. I'll put some links up on the screen to follow me or whatever. I'll be editing the podcast and some videos in the future. So, yeah.
Yep. If you guys don't know, Steven does all the technical stuff for us. He's also going to be a big presence in the video world for us. He's going to do a lot of great things that I can't do technically. He'll be able to do so. Again, this is the first ever episode of Raven Space Podcast. You can get the Raven Space Podcast on YouTube. You'll get it early if you're a Patreon subscriber. So again, please check out the Patreon. We're also going to be on every single place that you can find podcasts, SoundCloud, Apple Music. We'll try to do it all. So thank you guys so much for joining us. And just a couple of details on the show before we start. This will be a weekly show. You guys will get it every single week. We'll try our best to give you guys the best material that we can. And today we're going to go over the hot news in the NFL. We're going to play a game called Would You Rather, or What's More Likely. Sorry. Mm-hmm. And then we're also going to answer mailbag questions from you guys. So please send your questions to theravenSpace@gmail.com. So ready to hop into the news?
Let's do it.
All right. So the first news story of the day, it's just we're going to talk about the injuries. There's been some major
letdowns. Yeah, it's people are saying it's 2015 all over again, which I think is jumping the gun.
I don't know, man. When you have the caliber of players go down this year that we have had, it's kind of crazy.
Yeah, and when I saw the headline for Flacco, my heart sunk, and I'm like, my expectation for the season just went from great to not great.
So, let's go over each one, and let's start with that one, right?
Yeah. So, I mean, personally, I think people are kind of reacting. They're saying sign Kaepernick, sign whoever. And I think with the signing that they just got, I don't even know the guy's name, and I think that says a lot. I think that that's just for training camp. I think that says a lot that it's not that big of an injury. Harbaugh usually does say things aren't that big, and then they turn out to be major. But I think that he'll be ready to go.
I do too. The first reports are coming out like 3 to 6 weeks.
Yeah,
people jumping the gun on that one. Yeah. So, but I do think that with a back injury, you have to take it slow. And Ryan Mallett in training camp on Friday threw 5 interceptions.
I saw that.
So, I'm worried if we don't have Joe, I'll be worried.
Well, yeah, I think Ryan's he's a backup for a reason.
Yeah.
So, I don't think he didn't do terrible when we put him in, but he didn't do great. And I don't think he's not Joe Flacco. I don't care what anybody says. He's not Joe Flacco. He's not going to get us a ring. So, like I said, without Flacco in there, it's scary. Mm-hmm. But and the other thing is it's a back injury. So you never know how that's going to be. You never know what that'll turn into. And it could be a season-long thing. But the doctors are saying 1 week. And if that's all it turns out to be, that's great. Joe's a tough guy. He's missed, 6 games?
Yeah.
With an ACL and was an MCL tear.
And he walked off.
That was incredible.
Let's get into the next one, because we have a lot, actually. Kenneth Dixon, out indefinitely.
Yeah, that's tough. But
a serious injury. He, to me, the most talented back, right?
Yeah. Looked promising last year. And if we would have run the ball, I wouldn't say better, but just more. Mm-hmm. Yeah, there were so many times when if we would just run the ball, we would have won the game.
We would have won the game, yeah. Now Terrence West has to step up. And Danny Woodhead has to be who Danny Woodhead is. And I think it opens the door for Mizell. I really do.
Yeah, I think that T. West, while he did well last year, and like I just said, if we were running the ball more consistently, had a better line, had better play calling, this would have been a little bit different. He maybe had more, I don't remember how many yards he had last year, but it wasn't bad for the lowest franchise record of running attempts.
Yeah.
So, I think he did all right. But the problem with Dixon being out is that, you've got some other guys coming in. But, what if Woodhead gets hurt? He's an older guy, and he's not going to be a power horse. Like people are kind of saying that he's going to be, and he's not that kind of player.
Yeah.
So West is going to be taking all those attempts, and can he carry it?
I think right now we're closer to the bottom of the running game than we were. Then we're going to be at the top, right?
Yeah.
I'm
We
hoping.
were 28th last year?
Yeah, actually even lower. I think 26th, real low. So I think we'd be better than that, but I don't know if we're going to be where we want to be as a team. But again, we'll move on to another injury. So many injuries. Crockett Gilmore's leg injury. They haven't spoken on the time yet, but from what we reported on Ravens Space Daily, he threw his helmet down in anger. He was, very upset.
And the fact that they haven't, I don't know what it is right this moment, but the fact that they haven't said anything else about it, haven't updated. I mean, I'm checking the website now and I don't see an update. So the fact that they haven't updated us on that tells me that that's probably pretty serious. And that's such a hit. That's another player that I just was expecting to be. Anytime he's on the field, he's good. He's good.
He has the God-given gifts, right? That I don't have. He's tall, he's big, strong, fast, all that good stuff, and
he's got hands. I think that it does suck, but I do want to mention that I've seen a lot of people say, blame this on the strength and conditioning coaches, and in the past, and especially 2015, I was kind of in that boat. But in this situation, in these scenarios, Flacco was not. He was training on his own. Mm-hmm. So was Dixon. Mm-hmm. I think Tavon Young hurt himself in practice. But that's one. I mean, Gilmore, he's injury prone. Yeah. He's been getting hurt this whole time. Am I missing anybody? Pitta.
Yeah,
I mean,
Pitta.
I think you should have seen that coming. I think we probably saw that coming. After he played, I think all year last year, 16 games last year, he, we were all kind of expecting, kind of holding our breath like, but should have seen it coming. The dude's got 90-year-old man hips.
It kind of just feels like the Ravens have been bit by the injury bug a long time. Even when we won the Super Bowl, you have to remember Terrell Suggs was injured for
Lewis was hurt.
Julio Nada
went down. Nada went down. Yeah, there was a lot of injury going around that year, and
it just feels. I think the Ravens are just. I don't know. Hopefully, we can still perform.
That's how I feel, though. I feel like it's more than any other team. I feel like. I mean, am I crazy, or is it we see some more injuries? Training camp just started, and how many players have we lost already?
That's what it feels like. I don't know who you got to blame it on, but we got to do something. I mean,
Campanaro, that's another one, but he's injury prone as well.
Yeah, Camp. I've lost faith with Camp. We'll talk about that, maybe later. But his inability to be on the field.
Yeah.
I can't.
He's great while he's on the field.
Yeah,
I mean, he was in a couple plays last year, and each one was a play.
Yeah,
but he can't stay on the field.
I can't make any more excuses for that guy. So that's all.
Hey, if he starts a season, I mean, I don't know how the pup list thing works now. I think it's different from when you start on the season.
Correct. So from what I understand is that they can take him off pup the first week of the season, and he can play.
But if he starts, it's 6 weeks, right?
Correct.
Yeah.
So,
all right. So,
but we'll see.
Back to the running backs.
Yeah.
We signed
Bobby Rainey.
Bobby Rainey.
Yes. Bobby Rainey is a okay back. I'm not gonna call him good. Now there was a point when he was in Tampa Bay where he was great. And I think that he still has some uses. He's good at catching the ball out the backfield. And he's a little workhorse back who can, get that extra yard, but he's not special. He's not great.
Yeah. Right? I think that, back to that, T.O.S. is going to have to step up. He's going to have to be that guy.
Mm-hmm. McKinney, though. McKinney. Can he be that guy?
Right.
I just don't think so.
I don't see it.
Yeah,
But it all starts with the line.
Yeah.
So, I mean, even with a mediocre back, if you've got a decent line, even with a mediocre quarterback, you got a decent line, you can be a stellar offense or a better offense.
And I think that's a perfect transition to the last news that we have is the retirement of John Urschel.
Yeah.
On the offensive line that was already ailing,
that
we weren't sure about the center position. I'm sure that Hurst is not a good right tackle. I'm sure of that, but
I think everybody's sure of that.
Yeah. And then Alex Lewis, I like him, but he did get hurt last year, and you gotta take that into account.
The thing is, we've got some depth on the team in places. Line is not one of them.
Yeah.
And so it's already thin. And I think the center position, people are freaking out about the right tackle. The center position, that's where it starts, man.
Mm-hmm.
And it is the most important position, in my opinion, on the offensive line.
Okay.
So, you've got to have a big guy up there. You got to have a guy that's, stuffing anybody trying to come through.
Mm-hmm.
Right tackle is important. I'm not saying that.
Yeah.
But that center position, you gotta have somebody in there.
Yeah.
And I'm not feeling too great about our guys right now.
Man, I thought John Russell was going to win that competition.
Yeah, me too.
And with the study that came out, and again, I 100% understand, right? If I could get to MIT, right, and they told me I was going to get concussion if I played football, I stopped playing football as well.
Yeah.
But man, we really needed him there. I really do think that Jensen is a strong guy. He's going to be a brawler, but I just think that how smart Urshel was, the ability to call out blitzes and package and different things like that, I thought he would have been a big thing for us. So
yeah, it's a shame, but I mean that's his decision, and that's a personal thing. We can't really be mad at that.
Mm-hmm. Anyone following what they want to do, we can't be mad at. So
right.
And so that's the end of the news section. So we're gonna come back with the game, the feature, what's more likely, right after we tell you guys about Patreon. So Patreon is a service where you guys can support us here at the Raven Space.
Help us out.
Help us out. You guys can make a donation as small as $1, and it's not really a donation either because we do give you guys great stuff. For example, at $1, you get early videos, you get entered in giveaways, and different things like that. And we're going to do as much as we can. We're about to launch the website. We'll have Patreon exclusive articles just for our Patreon subscribers, and you also get a shout out in every single video that we do. So.
Yeah, and talking about the website, if you're a Patreon subscriber, you'll get videos before anybody else as well, especially some of the videos we have coming up.
So we're going to go into our next game. It's what's more likely. So I'll give you 2 scenarios, and you tell me what is more likely to happen.
Okay.
So the first scenario, what's more likely? That the Ravens sign Anquan Bolden or the Ravens sign Colin Kaepernick?
That's tough because I don't think either one is.
So,
all right. Well, I think out of the two, more likely Kaepernick.
Kaepernick, okay. Why not Anquan? Ravens fans love Anquan Bolden.
And Ravens fans evidently hate Kaepernick, which, we won't get into that. But just for need, I mean, especially if Flacco's injury is more than it is. Who else is out on the market right now? Yeah. And while I don't think Colin is a great quarterback, I think a defense led him to a Super Bowl, in my opinion. He was in a Super Bowl.
Yeah, he was.
And he did lead pretty big comeback.
And he also has his moments, right? Because I'm not a big Colin Kaepernick fan. I just think his fanfare is going to be a little bit too much for my liking, especially at the level of play that he's going to have. He'll be a backup that will be in the news more than Joe Flacco, right? Yeah,
and there's plenty of Ravens fans out there that are very against it. So,
so I don't think that's going to happen. But we have to remember that on that Super Bowl run, that game against the Green Bay Packers, where he rushed for about $150, I believe. Mm-hmm. He was a great quarterback, and he might still have it. I don't know, but
I don't think he fits into our system. No. And I say that because, or not that, but I take Colin over Bolden because I think there's more of a chance you're going to get more out of Colin than Bolden.
I agree.
That, and I think they feel confident in more. Mm-hmm. And I don't think that they want to take anything away from Perryman. Yeah. You've already got Macklin. You've already got, and one of them are probably going to get hurt. Mm-hmm. They're older guys, Macklin and Wallace. So we'll see. I want to touch on that for a minute, just because a lot of people say that Perryman is injury prone. Mm-hmm. He had 1 season.
Okay. Hey, I've been like, listen, I've said that before, right? And that is true. He's had 1 season. It's just as many stories that you hear. In my heart, I do feel like he can be nicked up at any time. But you're right, it was only 1 season. So
yeah, he played 16 games last year.
Yeah,
he had almost 500 yards for a third back behind Steve Smith and Mike Wallace, who had 1,000 yards. and I think Steve Smith was pretty close to that as well. That's pretty good.
Yeah.
And if you watch the highlights, so many fantastic catches, so many athletic catches. He did have some drops, but I feel like most of that was miscues and just not being able to. He didn't practice with Joe last year. Hopefully, he'll get that chance this year if Joe's all right. But yeah, he didn't get that last year, and I think with a full year under his belt, this will be a different Perryman on the team.
Cool. Now the next question: do the Ravens sign Nick Mangold or any other offensive lineman? So Ryan Clady, anybody, King Dunlap, I believe, retired, but any other offensive lineman or Nick Mangold? I
think if Mangold wanted to be on a team, he would be.
Okay.
I think if we wanted him, he would be. So more likely someone else. I don't know who's out on the free agency right now, but I think what will probably happen is after we every team cuts down to the 53, we'll see a pickup then.
Yeah.
Either that or a trade, but I don't think we're going to see anything until roster cuts and those final roster cuts. So once we see those, I think then we'll pick somebody up.
I'm of the opinion that if he wanted to be on the team, he would. He hasn't retired yet, so that makes me feel like maybe he does want to play, but I don't know for sure.
It's also a thing about his injury. He was injured last year.
Okay, yeah.
So the Ravens might not want to deal with that.
I don't think they have a choice now.
They might not have a choice.
Okay. The next one. A rookie leads the team in sacks, or Brashard Perryman leads the team in receiving yards?
That's real tough.
This one is tough because I like Brashard, but I also like the rookies that we have.
Yeah. That'll be tough because Suggs getting through the season is going to be a long shot, and leading this team in sacks is going to be a long shot. And who else do you got? It's pretty much going to have to be a rookie unless it's maybe Judon or some of the other guys that are filling that role. Williams isn't the best pass rusher. He hasn't gone to the quarterback too many times.
I believe 4 sacks in 4 years.
Yeah. So another long shot. So that's tough. Chances are, a rookie is going to lead the team in sacks. We're relying on a lot of rookies this year, which I feel all right about. I feel there's both negative and positive things about that. But I'm going to go with Perryman.
Okay.
I think that he's going to surprise a lot of people. Like I said, he is, in my opinion, going to be the best receiver Flacco's ever had. I think he's going to have that. Just you watch the highlights, and he seems like he's got it. He seems like he's got that athletic ability to go up. I think about games like against the Browns at home on Thursday night, and he made that adjustment to catch the ball in the end zone. That kind of stuff is something Flacco's never had.
Yeah. I like Brashard. I really do think Macklin's going to lead this team in receiving yards.
More than likely, yeah.
So I will go a rookie. I think Suggs will too, but the game is what's more likely. I think a rookie is more likely.
Yeah.
Okay, and then here's the last question we have for what's more likely. And this is about one of my favorite players, C.J. Mosley. What's more likely? C.J. Mosley wins Defensive Player of the Year, or the Baltimore Ravens win the Super Bowl?
C.J. Mosley.
Oh man, the fans ain't gonna like that now.
No, well, you know what? I'm gonna say right now that I have every belief. Now, this just depends on whether Joe Flacco's playing or not. People might not like that either, but we're not getting a ring without him under center.
Yeah, I agree.
So I believe my fan bias opinion is that we'll go 14-2, best record we've ever had. Oof. I think that's a long shot. Realistically, probably 10-6. Okay. I think we're in the playoffs no matter what. My bias is that we lose the Packers and Raiders game. I think that's given no matter what. 14-2. I think that's our potential. Okay. Given that we stay relatively healthy, given that we make the right moves, given that we win the games that we should have won, and you look at the past couple of years, the last 4 years, there have been so many close games, especially last year. How many close games could we have won? We could have been in the playoffs easily last year. We were a couple inches away. Could
have started 6-6. We won the first 3 by 4-point margin and lost the next 3 by like a 3-point margin. We could have been 6-6 starting the season. Then you're definitely in the playoffs then.
Yeah.
So
I think that it's I believe it every year. I believe it's a potential every year. Last year was hard. There were a lot of tight losses. If we win those games, it's perfectly plausible for the Ravens to get into the playoffs, and they're the only team that can stack up against the Patriots. I mean, statistically,
I think they're the only team that's not afraid of the Patriots.
Yeah.
In the AFC, I really do feel that way.
The closest other team are the Steelers, and how many wins have they got in Foxborough in the playoffs?
I don't even know.
I don't think they have any.
Yeah.
I don't think they have any. And you look at our 4 games with them, 2 very close ones and 2 almost blowouts. So,
And to be honest, in my opinion, we should have won all 4, right?
Yeah, I agree. I agree.
Because I remember Joe Flacco put up 21 points and had everybody ready to win, and then
if you look at Flacco against Brady in the playoffs, those 4 games, Flacco has a better average passer rating by like 30 points than Brady. And his first game against them, you remember that? They blew out the blowout. I don't even remember the score, but it was a lot.
Yes, I think when
he had a passer rating of 10. He had 40 yards because he wasn't our defense was taking a hold of Brady, and he wasn't really part of the game that much. So that 10 is bringing that average down quite a bit. And in the rest of the games, he has outplayed Brady.
Okay.
And you look at 2011, he's a catch away from the Super Bowl. People blame that on Cundiff. I don't. I blame that on Lee Evans.
Yeah.
He had the ball to send us to the Super Bowl in his hands. And you look at the 2015 playoffs, 2014, 2 14-point leads. Flacco doesn't play on defense.
I know. You're right. So, okay. Now, in this situation, I would pick C.J. Mosley too. Listen, if you could buy stock in players, I would put all my money in C.J. Mosley.
Oh, he's quality.
I think right now, he is my favorite Ravens defensive player.
I agree. He's just...
I love Joe Flacco too, but as a overall, but maybe C.J. Mosley might be my favorite player. I gotta see. I really do. I would buy stock. I think he's gonna.
I'm with that. Great. I think he's a hell of a player. He's talented and he's still young. He hasn't. I don't even think maybe hit the prime of his career yet. So I agree. I think likeliness. He wins. That's us winning the Super Bowl. It can happen. Definitely. Yeah. Definitely can happen. Will it? It'll be hard.
It'll be hard. It'll be tough. So we're gonna get into the mailbag questions, the last segment of the show, and then the questions come from you guys from the Raven Space community. Please send your questions to theravenspace@gmail.com.
All right. So this first question comes from Christian. With so many players getting injuries on our team, how critical do you think the first 3 weeks of the regular season will go?
It's going to be important, in my opinion. So we have the Browns, the Bengals, and the Jaguars, I believe. All very winnable games.
Yes.
The only person I think we need is Joe Flacco.
I agree.
I don't think we beat the Bengals without Joe Flacco. And I don't think we beat the Jaguars without Joe Flacco. I think the Jaguars are on the rise.
Yeah, we'll see what the Jaguars do, and they've gotten those games have been close in recent years. Though I don't know how many wins they have in London. Is my point.
Yeah, I understand. I think quarterback is so important, and I think that Ryan Mallett can be good. He has a strong arm, but he can be also incredibly average.
Yeah,
and
a lot of people say the same thing about Flacco, but we'll move on from that.
I don't think so. I think Flacco's always good, but just not always great. But
yeah, we won't get into that.
Yeah, but so I think it would be critical. I think if we have Mallett in there and we start off 1 and 2, it would put a damper on the whole season. I do think that.
Yeah, I agree. I think if you look at the schedule, the first 4 games and the last 4 games are going to be the teller of how we do. Mm-hmm. We go 3-1 in those 2 combinations. We have a great chance to make the playoffs. You only got to win 4 more games.
Yeah. I think that it is critical. I really do.
depending on who we lose.
Yeah.
If Flacco, we could definitely lose all 3 of those games.
Yeah.
You know.
So we'll see. I do think that those teams, though they had bad seasons last year, are on the rise. And, again, you guys have to remember that the Browns had us down 21 points, right?
Yeah.
In the first.
But they're the Browns and they lost.
Yeah, so that's true. So.
But yeah, exactly. They play us tough.
Mm-hmm.
It's a divisional game. Anything can happen. It is at home.
Yeah.
So I don't know when the last time the Browns beat us at home. I think they beat us in 2015, correct? When we were all hurt, but I don't think that was at home.
Yeah.
If I remember correctly. But it could have been. I mean, the Browns, like I said, they play us tough. But I think we should move on to the next question, which is including Flacco. And I guess we could get into this a little bit. Flacco seems to be... I'm sorry. This question comes from Daquan. Joe Flacco seems to be slowing down. Do you think this is the tail end of his career?
Joe Flacco's 31, right?
I think he's 32.
32?
Which is pretty old.
Yes. Then, Daquan, I think you're right. I think I give Joe Flacco 35? 36? Not 36, 35. I think 3 years. I think this might be, him slowing down.
Okay.
He's getting back injuries now. I think it's a real possibility.
Yeah.
And we might have to start thinking about the future.
Which is a shame. I mean, he's not going to play to 40, obviously, like
Brady.
Yeah, like Brady. But
I know you feel strongly about this.
Yeah. So I mean, I don't think the last 4 years are a tell to Flacco slowing down. You got a year that he doesn't play most of the games, or I think at least half the season, which we weren't doing well even with him in.
Yeah.
But 2013, you lose 90% of your starting roster. You lose Lewis, you lose Reed. Who's he throwing to? And this, we'll get this kind of transition to the last question, but his top receiver is Torrey Smith. Under that was Marlon Brown.
Yeah.
So he didn't have the best targets. We make it back to the playoffs, and he posts I think over 100 passer ratings both games in 2014, I think. Yeah, and then last year was, like I said, a lot of close games, a lot of games that we could have won. Offense was just all around bad.
Yeah, I felt that Joe did not trust his team.
I agree.
Especially his offensive line.
Or that knee.
Yeah, or the knee, and it showed, right? Joe's one of the best deep ball throws in the league, and last year it was a struggle sometimes. He got better at the end of the season, but again, when your most effective play is the quick slant, you can't win games.
I was so mad at that. We wouldn't run the ball, and then the primary was tanking dunks. I remember this one game. I can't remember what game it was, but it was like 13 or no, it was third and 13 or something like that. Long third down, and they run every 4 wideouts, and every one of them ran a curl or a comeback. And only one player went past the first down marker.
Yeah.
And by a yard. What do you expect Flacco to do with that? I get the mindset that, okay, they need to get here so the defense is going to play back. But you still need to come up with something better than that.
You do.
That's not going to get you the first down. And it's just, what do you expect Flacco to do with that?
Hopefully this change offensive coordinator is going to be good for us. Because, before Marty Mornhinweg was here, he was a risk taker. His offenses did go up and down the field. But again, last year, he had to kind of do that transition because it wasn't his full offense. So
yeah, a lot of people said, well, he did the same thing, but you can't just transition like that in the middle of the year.
Yeah.
And you can't change everything in the middle of the year.
Yeah.
So all right, let's move on.
Yep. And this is the last question.
Okay, another Joe Flacco thing.
Who
have been? This question is by Connor.
Okay. Connor sends a lot of questions in, so thanks, Connor.
Awesome. Who have been Joe Flacco's top 5 receivers?
Okay. Do you want me to go first?
You can go first.
Should I start from 5 or start from 1?
Start from 5. 1 being the best.
Yep, 1 being the best. So number 5, Derek Mason.
Okay.
Derek Mason's a good receiver. I think a lot of Raven fans like him because he was one of the first name receivers that the Ravens had.
Right. Most consistent.
One of the most consistent guys. I didn't think he had that that wow factor. He was
No, he didn't. No.
Nice and reliable, but I don't think he had that wow factor. So
Yeah.
I'll put him at number 5.
Okay.
Number 4, Torrey Smith.
Okay.
I like Torrey. Okay, when he was with the Ravens, he ran 3 routes, but those 3 routes helped the Ravens win the Super Bowl.
That's true. Can't argue that.
Mm-hmm. Now this one might be controversial. Okay. And I'm gonna tell you why I say this. Number 3, Jacoby Jones.
Oof, I disagree there, but go ahead.
Okay, so I'm taking in the whole aura of Mr. Jacoby Jones. Okay, his ability to return.
Yeah.
His ability to make big plays when you need him.
Yes.
Okay, you gotta remember, in that Super Bowl run, Jacoby had the 2 biggest plays on offense that year.
Yes, he did.
Okay, the Mile High Miracle, and then that catch in the Super Bowl, right? Not to mention the pressure that he put on teams in the return game.
Yeah,
right?
that was
So he's not the most talented, right? I don't think. But I do think that his influence helped them win the Super Bowl, and he helped the team overall.
Okay.
So that's how I'm gonna go with that. I know. Listen, let me know in the comments how much you disagree, because I know you guys do, but I think that he helped the team more than Derek Mason did.
Sure, Derek Mason was also over 30.
True, that is true. Now, listen, Jacoby Jones ain't great, but
no, he was. I agree. I mean, I agree. I'll let you go on with your list, but I agree. He was. I loved Jacoby while he was here. But yeah, go on.
Number 2, Steve Smith.
Okay.
Steve Smith is one of those workhorses that you love. Fiery guy, someone who brings passion every single play.
Okay.
Right, love that. But number 1 is the man, the toughest receiver to ever play the game of football, Anquan Boldin. Anquan, okay. Without Anquan, the Ravens don't win the Super Bowl. His leadership, his ability to make tough catches, and the Ravens haven't had that since, in my opinion. When you throw the ball in the air, you know Anquan's coming down with it, or it's going to be incompletion. Right? There ain't no interceptions when you throw the ball near Anquan.
Okay.
And so, I think that he is the best Ravens receiver. The new people that we have, Macklin hasn't played really, so I can't put him on my list. I didn't put him on my list. Wallace, I think he's a quick slant magician, but I don't, good for him. And then Perriman's still young, but that's my top 5 now. But I would put my money on Boldin as the best Joe Flacco's ever had.
Okay. So I had to improvise with my list because I don't think Flacco has ever had a superstar. I don't think he's ever even come close. I think, but I'm gonna start with it. I think number 5, I agree, Derek Mason. He was a great receiver for us. Again, like you said, not a superstar, but he was good, and he was reliable. But he was towards the tail end of his career when he was with us, or with Flacco at least, when he was playing with Flacco. See, these next 2 are hard because, like I said, I don't agree with the Torrey Smith. I think Torrey Smith had one 1,000-yard year, and that was 2013 when he had Flacco had nobody else to throw to. He was only throwing to Steve Smith or Torrey Smith. He had Marlon Brown under that, like 400 yards or something like that, and Jacoby Jones was even under that. I'll even say that while I agree with Jacoby Jones, I loved him while I was here. He just, he wasn't that.
I don't disagree, but just the impact is how I got him.
I could probably put him on my list. I could probably, the next 2, I'm gonna go with Wallace above Mason. Just for his career, not so much for him. He had 1,000 yards last year. He did well with us. But as far as like talent wise, Flacco's had. I mean, you could also argue while he's with us, like I did with Mason. I mean, it kind of that matters. While he's with us. But given that he's only had 1 year, and I'm gonna kind of put this in the same ballpark. I'm gonna put Macklin up there as well.
Okay.
Kind of, a slash there, kind of tied. And mostly because, again, the career, Macklin hasn't played for us yet, so that's hard. But I think he'll have a good career with Flacco. I think he'll play well with Flacco. Given that he stays healthy, I think he'll be a real threat. And like I said, I mean, who else is Flacco had to throw to?
Yeah.
You know, you put Torrey Smith and Jacoby Jones. You can't argue that too much. They were a big pivotal part in the Super Bowl run, but neither one of them, in my opinion, are
great players.
Yeah. Okay. Next is I put Bolden number 2.
Ooh.
I put Bolden number 2.
Okay.
And that's controversial. I know. I know that people love Bolden in Baltimore.
He's my favorite Ravens receiver ever. I think he's a bad man. I think. You know.
I loved Bolden when he was here. You know, he was reliable. Like you said, he was a Raven, in my opinion. He was a Raven. But another thing, and I mean, you could probably attribute this to Flacco, but at the same time, you look at his targets, his receiving percentage, that kind of thing. He had a lot of 1,000-yard years in his career. Mm-hmm. He did not have one with the Ravens.
Okay.
Flacco won a Super Bowl with not one receiver passing 1,000 yards. You know,
that's a good stat.
Yeah, so I don't know. I just with him not posting that, I don't even know. And my top is Steve Smith. I don't know if Steve Smith did either. I don't think he did. I don't think he posted 1,000.
His first season, he didn't.
Let me look that up.
Because
he may have. The first year we went to the playoffs, 2014. He was when he came.
He was like
yeah, he did. He had 1,000 yards.
Yeah, he was a man on fire that year. I remember.
Yeah. So just for that, I guess. But I think Steve Smith was an animal. You know, every time he touched the ball, he made a play. You know, you look at so many games last year, and you know, he got the ball, and that was it. He was looking for the end zone. Mm-hmm. To me, he had more of a yard after catch kind of potential than Bolden did, and that's why I put him, you know, above. But this list is hard. This list is hard because I'm not a big believer in any. And those three, Mason, Bolden, Steve Smith, as far as I believe, were all over 30 when they played with us, with Flacco. So that's a hard list. I think this year, best trio Flacco's ever had, potentially.
100% agree. The best ever. I know Macklin's going to be good, and I hope Rashard's going to be good. And I know what Wallace is, right? Wallace is always going to be a good 2 receiver in this league. Mm-hmm. He's much better than a third receiver in the league, and he's going to be playing that position in my opinion this year, right? So I think this is the best Joe Flacco's ever had. I wish he had a tight end, but you know.
Yeah, well, we'll see what the tight ends do.
Yeah,
but
all right, and so that was the mailbag questions. Steven, thank you so much.
It's great to be here.
First ever episode of the podcast, so I'm super excited. Thank you guys so much for listening all the way to the end. Again, please subscribe to Ravens Space on YouTube for the best Baltimore Ravens videos on the internet. Also, check out the Ravens Space website. We have articles going every single day, new articles, so check it out. Follow us on our different social media at the Ravens Space. And again, this podcast will be everywhere we can get it, right? So SoundCloud, iTunes, anywhere that they'll let us put it is where we'll be at. So thank you guys so much for watching. Thank you so much, Steven, for joining me. And this is the first and hopefully many, many more. So
awesome.
All right. Thank you guys so much, and go Ravens.